Okay, so let's actually get some more practice coding because this is really what you've come for, which is the more of these assignments where we focus on actually coding, the better you're going to get at it. Okay, so we're going to take what we've learned, what we're learning in the sandbox that is free code camp, and we're going to, now that we have a local development environment, or we could have done this on CodeSpace, but it's just like the more local, the easier these things generally get because you have complete control over them. That's all. Now we were practice building a site from scratch and using our workflows. Okay, so here's the objectives. We're going to set up some folder structure. We're going to use Emmet. I'll show you how to do that to connect things up. We'll practice connecting that external CSS file because when you're doing free code camp, you are removed somewhat from some of these details. Well, actually, most of these, because you're not committing over there, you're just saving as you go. Using Swoosh, again, to resize and optimize. And then you'll share now, and this is important as we go into this. You're going to do this work in your, actually, this is wrong. It's actually in your private repo. But when you share, because you're going to take a print screen of your output, and that print screen will be placed into your public repo, and then you will share it via your GitHub URL, the one we've used before. And this is an example of that. So I'm glad I saw that I can change this because what we're going to do, and this is why I just was looking at the instructions, so let's go look at them, okay? So now, in your private repo under VS Code, you're going to create a folder called Code Along. Now, this is good because we're going to end up using this folder starting in week 5 for our boot camp Code Along, okay? And then inside that folder, you're going to create another folder called Practice, okay? And then inside the practice, you're going to create a file called index. Okay, so here's would be my challenge to you is stop here, see if you can do this. Okay, you can pause the video, and then once you come back, you're going to see, I'll show you the output of the way it should look. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to assume if you tried it, which by the way, you should generally try things when I suggest that because it's just good practice. So in here, I'm in my private repo. I have created a code dash along. These are all lowercase. And inside of there, I created a practice. Now, what's important is when you're creating these folders, and we've done it a couple times now, right? You look at where you're at in the overall structure, right? So if I'm doing it in my private repo, then I need to make sure I'm here, hit my folder, and then do another one. Now I've already created my structure, but just to show you, if I was here, I could create. Now this is not what you're doing because you're doing the actual names folder 1, and then under folder 1, you're creating subfolder. Okay. Now, I'm not going to have you do this because this is actually the structure you needed to create. Now you have an index and a styles.css. And that actually does make a difference. So now that you've named, and you definitely have to name it, this is very specific because the next thing we're going to do is actually kind of what is a little bit magic. And I think we've done it before, but if not, you use the exclamation point, hit tab. Oh, try that again. There we go. So let me go back in case that doesn't. If for some reason it doesn't show up, you actually might have a space there. So you do this. And the other thing is if for some reason you didn't name the file the HTML, boom, that will not work as well. Okay, so this sets up that boilerplate that we learned about in the HTML part of Free Code Camp. Okay, so now in that CSS file, right? Where actually it generates that for us. And in the same folder, we created the styles.css, right? And this will be important to match what we're doing in Free Code Camp, right? So now we're going to do a linking and initializing style, okay? Now I'm going to show you another quick command, which is link colon CSS, okay? And you'll see what it creates and why we have to change it, okay? And then we'll copy this in there, okay? So let's come back here. So what we were going to do is, now we don't have anything yet in this CSS file. We're actually going to put something in there in a little bit. But up in the head section here, there's another link colon. Now we could just actually do link tab, and that built-in Emmet would actually create that link for us. link element, link relationship is a style sheet, and then here's where it wants us to tell us what's the file name. But kind of nice, you can actually, and I hit actually backspace there, or I think I did escape maybe. How did I do that? I did tab. Now I got to remember, how did I get it back? Tab, and then, yeah, I did undo. Okay. So here I could do colon CSS, and when I hit tab, then it actually fills in. But the thing is, it is actually assuming my file is going to be style, and ours is going to be styles. So it still saves you a little bit of typing there, which is cool. Okay. So now we're going to copy this, right? Okay. So I'm going to come over here, copy that. So what that's going to do is on my page, it's going to create a blue background, a light blue background. And so I've already got my live server running, which is awesome, right? And so I can move over to my browser just to see if everything, oh yeah. And this ever happens to you where you think it's running, but you're like, oh, I don't remember how to get there. Some people will just click on it and stop it and start it. But FYI, if you go to 127, your browser will probably remember where you've had it. And now I'm going to go to my private. I'm going to go to my code along. I'm going to go to practice. And at least if I get blue there, I know I'm good to go. Okay. So now let's now look at these next steps, because some of this now I'm going to let you do on your own, because I just wanted to do the initial steps and I'll show you what mine looks like. But in this case, you do have a commit you need to do here. Okay. So this is where you do the git stage, git commit. You can do the git push. You have to do it at the end, but just FYI. Okay, so do that commit, and then live server, right? So click, the browser will show light blue, we're good there. So now we actually want you to go through and do some coding like we've seen in Free Code Camp, right? So inside the body, create a main, H1, so you can follow along here, right? And then do a commit, right? And then add text, right? You can have AI. And actually, we're going to do a remix that this might actually help you with if you wanted to on an assignment, actually, I think coming up on Thursday. Okay. And do your commit there. So go ahead. I want you to try this on your own, and I'll at least show you my output when I come back. So give this a try. Hit pause and then watch my output. I'm actually not going to step through it step by step. Okay, so how'd that go? So I played around with mine for a little bit, just to, play around with some of the things that we've learned to see. And so if I looked at my HTML here, right? So I did do the main. I ended up using a header. You don't have to. It's just something you're going to learn later. Semantically is a good idea. Actually, I decided to roll that back because I'd actually done another version of it. Okay, so actually I didn't. I ended up not doing header because header is good semantically. You're going to learn about it anyway, but so main vibe, my coding is biking vibe. You'll notice this is kind of my common sport or my common topic that I do these days because it's part of my fun that I do in the world. Okay. So then I did just a little bit of CSS. Actually, let's go look at that updated page to see. Hold on. There we go. A little better. A little better in that case. I mean, it's not great. I actually would probably, I mean, this is the thing with when you're doing this stuff, you refine it and it's like, no, I don't like the way it looks, but you're just playing around. Okay. So as long as you have done some family, color, alignment, padding, right? So that's the idea. And then take your print screen, right? So then I would take a print screen of this. Now I typically like to take my print screens this way, right? Now you can do it however you want, but then you're going to resize it. Again, we've already been through this process, so I'm not going to walk through it with you again. But make sure you, by the way, before you do this step, you do a commit here as well. So actually we ended up having a commit here. So what you have is you end up having a 1, 2, 3 total commits. Okay. Now these is all, and this is what I was saying before, in your private repo. Okay. So now when you take your screenshot, right? And you open your swoosh and you resize it, right? Now that's all in your public repo under that screenshots. And the commit message you're going to give for that is the same as the file name. Okay, so use the file name as the message to do commit here. So in this assignment, which is somewhat, typical, we're using both the public and the private repo to get a little practice. And then this is where, right, if I was to move over here, then I would go into here and I would have placed in that print screen that had been resized in here so that when I was ready to go post, because in this case, we're doing this work in your private repo, but we want to share it out to tell everybody, hey, here's what it looked like. So then what you're going to do is discuss any challenges you had here. You may have had some when connecting, or did you not get Emmet to work, right? Embed your file, embed your print screen. Here's an example. Remember when it says your uh, pub, that means whatever you named it. That should be something we've already looked at, right? I'll grade the commits history, right? The code execution, did you get everything in there? And of course, this comes from actually doing the resize as well. And it looks like, yeah, I actually don't have any replies here. So really, this is a hands-on assignment, no replies required. I just want to make sure I didn't miss that somewhere. Nope, as long as you fill in that information, right? Post describing any experiences, address any troubleshooting steps you've taken, because this is part of coding, is troubleshooting and figuring out why things didn't do what you needed them to do. Okay, hope you have fun with this. Time to move on to the next thing.